All right, everybody, welcome back to the Are We Where Yet podcast. I'm your host, Johnny, Jonathan, a bunch of things. Call me whatever. What do we call me today?
You just said whatever, so
all right.
Refer to as whatever today.
My producer said I'm whatever today, so that's good. And anyway, thank you guys for joining us. We want to thank Studio Y. That's studioyoga.com. You go over there. You could get your yoga on. They got all kinds of cool classes. They have class schedules. You could look at them a month in advance, know what kind of yoga you're going to be doing. If it's yoga with beer, yoga with cats, or yoga with whatever they got going on. Studio Y Yoga, mention this. You get, I think, about 20 or 25% off. It's a great deal. So go ahead and call them. Talk to Amanda over there. And also, I'd like to thank the North End Coffee House. Mention this, get 10% off your coffee or a cookie. That's North End Coffee House located in downtown Yuma, Arizona. So we got Rigo here.
Hello.
All right. Rigo's, he's doing the camera stuff. How do I look?
Look awesome.
Look, thank you. Thank you. That's encouragement today. Like, I'm going to go through the rest of the day in a good mood. So anyway, and I sometimes I tease Rigo on air, but I couldn't do this podcast without him. He's a big part. I appreciate you, man.
Oh, well, thank you.
I want to say that, and he's stepping up and taking on a bigger, some more role, I guess, a bigger responsibility, huh?
Yeah, adding stickers to us now.
Yeah. So I really want to thank Rigo. He's a big part of this, and Victoria Tori Black. She's busy with her podcast, which is taken off, and she's actually teaching how to use the steel mace now, I think at Fluid Energies
she needs to teach us. So we're all warrior ready.
Exactly. So that she hasn't been here for a while. She's busy with her podcast, but it's been great. And I want to, just say, the best for her. And we got in studio, Van Aldridge. Aldridge. Okay. See, I told you, I can't, for some reason that word is just difficult for me to say, but anyway, I discovered you because you did a video, or you spoke over some beautiful images that our friend Jesse did.
Indeed. Jesse's my production partner for those videos.
Jesse Watson?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So that's how I ended up discovering Van's work, and very powerful stuff. What you said on there, and it resonated. It struck a chord with me, and I'm like, wait a minute, who is this guy? I gotta find this guy, And then I was like, oh, he's probably not in town, so I'm figuring gonna have to, arrange some way to get you on the podcast. And then I discovered you're here in Yuma.
I'm working and based in Yuma right now. Yep.
Yeah, so you're here in Yuma, and so it wasn't that difficult to track you down.
We've had lunch and hung out.
Yeah. So that's great. And anyway, so let's just jump into that. What prompted you to make this video?
I had this urge, or this, I don't know, desire to put some images together with some things I'd written over time. I went through a rough time back in 2012, 2013.
Mm-hmm.
And after going through that, I actually, because of the job, I left my home where I'd been my whole life in Maryland and went out on the road. And I did time in California. Now I'm doing time here in Yuma in Arizona. And I don't know, it's like I'm going through these rough times in life. You kind of just start realizing things, becoming more enlightened. And I'm an English major. I have a degree in English. And so one of the main things for me to express myself is through writing. And I'd written some different things and different posts, and just felt strongly about them, and knew I wanted to put images with them.
I'm sorry, but for our listeners, what's the video just describing?
Yeah, that's what I was going to get into next.
Yeah.
So explain what the video and how people can go see it.
I've done 2 so far, and one's on time. The first one was on time. That's the one you saw originally, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And then I've done one with Jesse since then on the journey in life.
Okay.
And they're short. They're not, you're not going to have to sit down like with Netflix and watch something for an hour. They're a little over 2 minutes long. They're just beautiful, beautiful film work by Jesse. And I'm so lucky to have met Jesse. I work with Jesse.
Oh, okay. So you guys worked together and you just clicked.
Yeah, we just,
Yeah.
we got along from the start. And then I found he had this great talent. And so I'm like, I should do this with Jesse. And he was on board with it.
That's good.
So it's on my Facebook page. It's on my public Facebook page, which is Time and Travels, Van L Aldridge. And then just Facebook, Van Aldridge. So that's 2 places you can get them. And also, I've stuck them on YouTube.
So what's your YouTube account? Do you know?
You know what? I'm not real.
It's all right.
I don't push that side.
So how do you spell your last name?
It's Aldridge.
Okay, so people want to go see the video. That's people know how to use Google these days. So
Oh yeah,
I think they'll be able to
you'll find
them.
it. Yeah.
But so you did these videos, and like I said, it resonated with me, and then it resonated with a lot of people.
Yeah, the feedback's been pretty incredible. I didn't really expect that.
So what do you think it was that resonated with so many people?
I think it's the messages I put out, the things that I write about and post about, and really Facebook is my only platform. I'm working on some other things, but right now, that's it. If I feel something strongly, and I don't post a lot, you've seen that.
Yeah.
I'm not one of those everyday guys or every week people or whatever.
Which is what also stood out to me.
Yeah.
Because it's, I guess I would want to say, littered with these posts of everyday, people. And it's tough because there is some encouraging things out there, but it's just almost like too much.
I feel the same way.
Oversaturated.
Yeah.
And so it's like it gives me like pause, because it's a tough time to be able to broadcast this podcast, which is very, I think, well, at least important to me, but like it's just littered out there with people that, with these quotes. So it's almost like the less you do, but the more meaningful is what's going to make the impact.
Right. And I don't post to get attention. And I don't, so I don't, not worried about it. I don't think about it for a couple weeks at a time. I'm busy living life and enjoying life and embracing every moment of it. But then when something hits me, or I feel strongly about something,
when that inspiration comes,
then I might write something, and I'll be on, I'm an English major, so I'm going to edit what I write. So I clean it up and make sure it flows. It's got that oomph to it. And then, if I feel strongly about it, I'll post it.
Okay, so the first one that you did, the first video, was the time. So what'd you feel strongly about? What was about time that hits you, and you're like, you know what, I got to get this message out?
I feel like people, they get caught in ruts. They get into routines. Life slips by like crazy. And both of you gentlemen know, you guys are younger, and I'm sure you can think back and remember being 15. There's a lot of moments real fresh in your life, and look how far removed you are from that.
Yes.
And you gotta embrace time in your life all the time.
What's a practice we can do to embrace time?
I think one thing you can do is appreciate the moments. John and I have talked about this. Just, he's doing it. He's doing a good job with it. He's doing things in the morning, I think, meditating and taking walks and just taking it in. Man, just, if you see something that just a sunset, or you're at a beach, or you could be in a crowd in Universal Studios, but if something hits you right then, man, just stop and appreciate that moment. Take that moment in. Don't just rush past it. Don't just, I got to get here, I got to get there. I got to pick the kids up. Yeah, I know you got to pick the kids up, but your time, your life is going by. And you need to take the time to take in those moments and appreciate things, be grateful for things, and just stop once in a while.
And doing those things, I've noticed as I appreciate those things, it's like, because, like you said, we're just rushing through. But if I take time to appreciate the moment, it actually does mean more in that moment, and it's more significant. And in that significance, it's like, why don't I do this all the time? Because this feels better.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But
this actually, like, I feel better about this, but then I forget that. And then I just go through life, hurry, like, I got to get this done. I got to get this done, And so you're saying slow down, appreciate.
Yeah, just appreciate life and be aware of the life you're living.
Mm-hmm. So you said you've had some struggles in the past. That's what came or birthed this idea to make these videos and provide this inspiration to people. What's some of that pain that you felt?
Just going through divorce, going through breakups,
Mm-hmm.
and I mean marriage.
Yeah.
I've gone through 2. My first marriage, that's where my kids came from. That was super painful. I think we're going to talk about an issue that happened with that in a little bit. And then the second marriage, you think I was a little older. I didn't rush back into a second marriage. I was single a long time between marriages. That's not the norm. I've read statistics where people who get out of a marriage, typically, at least from the age of 35 to say 50-ish, they're back within a serious relationship, and that ends up being a marriage within 2.5 to 3 years.
Okay, so your first marriage, how old were you when you got married?
I got married too young. I got married when I was 22 years old.
22, okay. And then how long did that one last?
It was good for about 10 to 12 years, and then she didn't want to be married anymore.
Gotcha. And then you said you spent some time being single purposefully?
Yeah. And it's not like I was just dating all over the place or anything. I just living my life, and I dated, and I had one fairly long-term girlfriend between those marriages, and then I met what I thought was the love of my life. I was older, I was wiser. I thought this is
ready to get back
woman.
Into it. This is it.
She floored me. We just clicked. I thought we did,
mm-hmm.
and then same with her. I'm not saying anything bad about anybody. Just people have their things and their own baggage, and it just didn't work.
Didn't work.
She wasn't happy, and you can't make somebody happy.
Mm-hmm.
You can, and I used to be that husband that.
So you tried.
Oh my gosh.
So you tried to make somebody happy.
Yeah.
What happens when you try to make somebody happy?
They have to have it inside.
But what happens though? What was some of the things that you got back from her because sometimes people think that they want you to make them happy.
Oh yeah.
But what happens when you try to make that person happy?
Well, you can go on all the vacations, what I did.
So you did the vacations.
I did the vacations. I did the cruises. I did the gifts. I did the over-the-top Christmases. I'm the type of guy, I don't have to be reminded about, showing my affection and, how much I appreciate somebody. I come home in the middle of a week on the third Thursday of March or whatever with flowers or a gift. Or, I did stuff all the time.
Mm-hmm.
But like I said, that's not what it's about. Two healthy people, two happy, healthy people work in a marriage typically. Mm-hmm. And even then it's work. Mm-hmm. But if you get somebody who's just not happy, who's holding on to the past because of their own trials and tribulations.
From whatever they went through.
Yeah, and they've never gotten beyond that. Now they're not living in the moment, and they're not looking for the future and a good, bright future and happy in their current situation. They're holding on to that negativity and that baggage.
But
never going to work.
But you went into this thinking that maybe I could make her happy.
True, absolutely. Mm-hmm. But I also didn't know the extent of what had traumatized her from way back.
So that wasn't present in the beginning of the relationship. It's something that gradually you noticed.
Yeah, you find out more. And to be fair, she lost a sister, and a younger sister, and that's traumatic. And she never really quite got over that, and that helped send us downward. I mean, I was there for her. I tried to be, but
so her not properly dealing with that caused some strain inside of your marriage.
Yeah.
She
was unhappy and just depressed, and I understand it.
So she's unhappy, she's depressed. You're doing your best to make her happy over the top Christmases, the vacations, whatever you think could help suffice or make this at least a manageable marriage. didn't work, fell
No.
short.
No.
So what did that teach you anything about yourself then?
Yeah, it did. And it really did. And to be honest, the man I am now, if I had in here what in my head and in my mind what I had back then with her, I still think she had too much to work through, but I could have done things a little differently too.
You would have done things different.
A little bit. And it's not, there again, it's not about what you can buy somebody. It's how you connect with them. It's listening to them, and it's, you know, always being for them on that mental level and being able to communicate with them properly. And I'm a good listener. I used to listen to her stories over and over, and the trauma that she'd been through and different things. I've heard those stories a lot. So it's not like I didn't listen and didn't try, but I just think
But you can't try for somebody. That's the you know, that's the hardest thing, is that you can't try for somebody else. They really have to do it and work through that baggage.
True.
You know, they have to work through those things. Like one of the last podcasts we did was with a Buddhist monk, and that's what he teaches people how to meditate and work through those things, kind of face themselves.
Right.
Go into that deep, dark cave of the soul and kind of go in and process those things. And that's something you cannot do for somebody.
You can't. They have to do it for themselves.
So your second marriage, that
was the second marriage.
Yeah, that was the second marriage. So, and then what happened after that?
That's when I got, I just started this new job when that marriage fell apart. Government contract work. And so one of the first things that happened is I got sent to Afghanistan, which with my mental state at that time and in that place, it probably was not a good combination, but it ended up being one of the best experiences of my life.
Okay, so let's explain that real quick. So probably not the best situation turned into the best situation.
Turned into a positive one.
Turned into a positive one.
Yes.
Okay, so how does that unfold?
Well, I went, I'm going through this depression, and it's a depression. I'm not in the best mental state, but I'm faking it every day. I'm going to work, and I get sent to Afghanistan, and I have logistics to do over there.
And then this is what year? Is this when the thick of it?
This was 2013.
Okay.
Yeah. And it's funny being over there and just focusing on work, focusing on working out. I helped a lot of guys get in shape over there. They asked me to because I'm a trainer by profession. And that wasn't my job, but I ended up doing a whole lot of that as well. And just being around that type of community, which I've never been in the military, and being on a base and being in a war zone. And it wasn't, I don't want to make it sound like it was
bullets flying.
Yeah, not for me, not the big base I was on. But we had one or two incidences on base where you had to put all your gear on, go into the bunker.
There were some scares.
So, yeah, here and there. The attacks on Afghan army attacks, somebody flipped and went after one of the coalition or people, soldiers. But whenever that happens, they shut the whole base goes on alert, lockdown. But it was a great experience.
Oops, I missed. I just threw a lighter to Isaac, but this is how it goes in podcasts. Thank you for that lighter, Isaac. I appreciate it. But okay, so you're in Afghanistan. This is the turmoil. There's a lot going on in Afghanistan at that time.
Yeah.
You're thinking your mental state is not the best to be able, to go over there, but you're faking it.
Yeah.
But
it got better.
It got better.
It got better as I'm there.
So how did it get better?
I think just focusing on other things, not.
So you're helping people. You told me a little bit that you're helping people get healthy.
Yep. Those guys meant so much to me, and I am so blessed that they said, "Hey, you run some basically boot camps with us?" I was like, "Yeah, I'd love to." And it gave me a focus. It gave me something to do. And of course, I'm not in my home. I'm not back in the same county that I grew up in and I went through my marriages in. And yeah, I miss people back home. I'm very close to my family and friends. But it was good to get away from all those reminders of what I just lost. Does that make sense?
Yes.
It helped not being in that environment.
Yeah, it was a fresh environment.
So yeah, you got this new environment now. People that you're helping, so that's taking the focus off of the hurt inside.
Exactly.
Right?
Yep.
It's like it's taking the focus off of you, because a lot of times we kind of mope, or we just think about poor me, but you have like this outlet, which is actual human being that are out there in the war, in the thick of it, and you're able to pour yourself into them.
Exactly.
How did that help you?
I think that's one of the best things we can do in life is to help others, be of service to others. When we get into that thing about us, that egocentric attitude and worrying about ourselves and what we want and what we need to get, when we get into that, I've met more miserable people who are just wrapped up in that than I care. I'm not going to mention anybody.
Yeah, it's okay.
But the people who are grateful for what they have, and this is in no way saying don't be ambitious, don't go after your dreams. I'm not saying that. But remember to, there again, stop. Be of service to others in any way, in any capacity you can. Even if you just are a pleasant person and make other people's days a little better. Like I go to the Fast Stop out here on the corner. I'm newer in Yuma.
Mm-hmm.
I know everybody in there now. And when I walk in, they're like, "Hey, Van," and I'm glad to see them. And I know about their families, and I say, "How's the kids? They better? They've been sick? Yeah, I'm glad they're." It's just nice. Be that type of person. So
if you're that type of person, it actually benefits you.
Absolutely.
Which is it's kind of. I guess it goes against normal thought, because it's like, well, I need to take care of me, so I have to be about me, right? And it's like, that seems maybe, I guess, normal, but it's not. If you take care of other people, it's something.
You're taking care of yourself.
You're taking care of yourself. Yeah. It actually works that way.
Yeah. And I'm also, you want to point out, or side note, people who get over on you regularly, or I don't like this word only because it's become so cliche, but toxic, because it is popular. If you have people in your life like that, yeah, you need to cut those loose, and you need to move away from that. But my gosh, you can be a good person, and you can do for others and not be used.
Mm-hmm. So that's a fear that people have. Like, if I am going to be good, I'm going to be used, I'm going to be abused. And you're saying, well, recognize the toxic people, and then you make that decision. And I've had to do that in life, and it actually feels good to do that as well. Like, no, I'm not worth that. Like, I'm worth more. So you have to make that divide between you and that toxic person, and then you just move on and help the other people that are there to be helped.
That are good people and could use a little lifting up once in a while.
Mm-hmm.
And it's easy enough. Just take a real account of the people in your life who have always needed something from you, but when you've needed them, or just even a favor, they don't have the time, they can't help you, they're busy, they're this, they're that. It's easy enough. There's red flags all the time, but people ignore them.
Mm-hmm. So spot those. But so you're back in Afghanistan, you're helping these people get in shape. That's helping you. And so that's what helped turn it into a positive situation? Is there more?
Oh, yeah. Well, it's that. It's just, I never thought I'd ever be in a war zone, because I didn't have a military background.
Yeah.
And that's I got to tell you, it's not always the best experience. And there's a lot of guys that go through a lot because they've lost friends right beside them and all. And I realize that. I realize that, yeah, I was over in Afghanistan, but it wasn't dodgy for me.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't ever want anybody to say, oh, he makes out like, no, I don't. I was safe. I was in a good place. But you still see the people going out every day on patrol. You talk to them. You hear their stories, and it's impactful.
Yeah.
You were able to witness that.
Yeah.
Yeah. That must have done something to you psychologically.
Yeah. And you realize, man, okay, so I lost somebody who I was absolutely crazy about. They just don't want me.
Mm-hmm.
That's not the worst thing in the world. Think of so much worse that people go through.
Yeah.
So how'd you lift yourself back up? Like, what was it that you made it okay that this person didn't want you anymore?
Well, that started it.
That started it.
Yeah. But then I still had a lot to work through. I still had a lot of rough days after that. And then about a year later, in May of 2014, I took my son to a funeral for a friend of his. My son's, he's a grown man, but we went together because I knew this young man. But he was actually a friend of my son's. And he had died suddenly in his sleep.
How old?
He was 33 or 34, I think, Vernon.
Wow.
And, it was sad, but I said, well, I want to go. Vernon was such a great guy. He had a great personality, big smile all the time, always happy. I felt truly terrible, and I felt bad for his family, his mom and dad, and I couldn't imagine losing a child. So my son Desmond and I went to this funeral. And sitting in that funeral, I had a lightning strike of enlightenment. When I heard those people give testimonies about Vernon and what he had meant to them and his enthusiasm for life and how he wasn't famous or anything, but he was bigger than life. He just had an incredible outlook, personality, and attitude about life and living life large. And he'd been in stunt shows and was a stunt performer.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he was a card carrying member out here in LA for a while.
Oh, okay.
And here, it's hard to explain, but all those people.
But people were giving.
One after another. They probably had 5 or 6 speakers.
Mm-hmm.
And they just talked about what Vernon meant to them and what he brought to the table if you had him as a friend. And I thought, man, that's the way I used to be.
That's how you used to be.
Or at least, I love life and I love people.
So you kind of forgot who you were, and this kind of brought back to your memory to the front of your mind. No, I was that guy.
Yeah, and I'm not saying I was as talented as Vernon or any of that stuff. I'm just saying I loved life like Vernon did.
Yeah,
I loved people like Vernon did. That's how I was around everybody. I'm not me anymore. This is ridiculous. Life's too short. I got to get back to being me. And that funeral, that was it. I was never.
So instead of it bringing you down, like, oh, that's not me no more.
Isn't that crazy?
It enlightened you.
It did. It's nuts. But it really, I've never been to a funeral like that. It was as sad as it was, and I'm not taking away from the sadness, but for me personally, it just hit me deep, real deep.
You had an experience.
Yeah.
You had your experience.
Yep.
So you had this enlightenment, and this used to be me. So did you leave that funeral like, no, I'm going back there. That's going to be me again.
Oh yeah, I left that like a different person, like a light switch got.
Like a light switch.
Yeah, I'm serious.
Oh wow,
it was that impactful, and I've never been. I'm not saying I haven't had some rough times. We all have rough times. I lost a nephew a little over a year ago.
Mm-hmm.
But who was like a little brother to me. I mean, we super close. But I'm still the person that I've been ever since I was way before and since that funeral. I'm back to me. I'm back to the person that I'm meant to be and that I just can't help but be.
So that person again is the person that is about service. It's about life and life being larger than typical life, right? I see your Facebook page. I know you're always out with your dog. It's Max.
Max, yeah.
Max, yeah.
Maximus Ruckus Aldridge.
Wow, that's a powerful name.
That's his name. Yeah, but Max.
So Max, and so okay, so you leave this. This is who you're going to be. Is that? Do you have Max already?
I did. Yeah, Max was with me.
Max was already with you.
Yeah, he was 2 years old at that time, 2.5.
So, and he was there also pre-divorce?
Max is funny. Max was actually a Christmas present when I was trying to keep that marriage together.
Uh-huh.
He was a Christmas present to her. And, I fell in love with him right away. Well, I also thought he's going to be our dog.
Yeah.
But it was a surprise for her for Christmas. And things worked out to where when she took off and went, on to live her life, which she needed to do. Max ended up just being with his dad, and it's worked out well. He did stay with her when I was in Afghanistan.
Mm-hmm.
He had to, but when I got back, he got back with Dad, and it's been that way ever since.
Nice.
I wanted to bring up Max because that's what you're writing a book about, right?
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about that, the book you're writing about with Max, the dog, and what Max means to you.
Yeah. The book's about Max's first year in this world, which was crazy.
Mm-hmm.
It's when I went through all that stuff with her and, going off to Afghanistan and coming back and her and I being done, like, yeah, we're done.
Mm-hmm.
And he had a hell of a first year, Max did. So,
and this is a children's book though, right?
Well, I want to make it with that angle so that kids can maybe like identify with Max when their parents aren't doing well and how they have to maybe cope. Yeah.
So it's like, because I thought that was a beautiful idea. So it's like from Max's perspective of what's going on between his parents, right?
Right.
Right. So
in his life in general. And the crazy thing, I accidentally, because he got out of the house and I didn't realize he's out of the house, he went under the back wheel of my truck when he was a pup. And that was, I thought I'd killed my dog, and I was already crazy in love with him.
Mm-hmm.
And rushed him to the vet. And that little sucker survived, which, I mean, of course I'm thankful for.
Yeah.
But he got run over by a truck. My wheel went over him because I felt the bump.
Jeez.
And my heart I thought it was the neighbor's dog because
Mm-hmm.
I thought he was in the house. He's, at that age, he wasn't trained real well. Couldn't let him just go crazy. He'd run all over the place. But he had slipped out.
Yikes.
And I ran over my dog.
Yeah.
And I was not in a good state at that time anyway. That was probably the worst week of my life, one of two of the worst weeks of my life. And then on top of that, just being that weak, I run over my dog.
Jeez.
I'll be honest, if he hadn't pulled through, that wouldn't have been good.
Yeah.
It really wouldn't have been good.
So your dog you were able to bond with during this time of this marriage that's fallen apart.
Yeah.
This was your guy.
Yeah. And then especially afterwards when I got back.
Yeah. So just again, break down the book a little bit, because like I said, I think it's a really cool idea.
It's basically from Max coming home with me picking him up at it's like a rescue vet combination place.
Okay.
That's where I got him. And from the day he came home with me, and then being a Christmas present and life with his mom, and her and I weren't living together at the time, but we were supposed to still be together. It wasn't like a big separation. We're going to date other people. There's none of that silliness. It was, we're going to work on this, but I'm going to give her a little space. We'll stay at a friend's house. We're going to date each other and whatnot. So it's that time. And then of course it's a real dark time after that. And then running over Max, and then me having to go to Afghanistan and him being in Florida with her, and then me coming back and starting our life together. So mine and Max's life together.
So like the beginning is going to be that, and so it's going to be from his perspective, though, right?
Yeah.
What's going on and like how he's going to have to deal with these things. So you're going to do that to help kids learn how to deal with these things?
I hope that I can make that connection.
That's the goal.
That's the goal.
Because you got the background, right? The English.
Yeah.
Like you can write.
I think I can pull it off.
Yeah.
I hope I can pull it off.
Yeah. So have you put pen to paper yet?
Yeah. Yeah. I got some of it.
What are you talking about? Think, Van. I don't like this. Think you could pull it off. You could pull it off.
The only problem is you have to revisit some things that are really rough.
Oh, okay.
And plus, it's not my intention to hurt anyone or to bring back hard feelings for anyone.
Oh, for your ex-wife.
Yeah. And I'm struggling with that. I'll be honest. I'm not to do a book, which may or may never be might be published, who knows, but just to do that, it's not my intention to bring up any hurt for anybody or to make anybody look bad. And it's not what I want to do, but there's just incidents within the story that
but that's gonna help.
maybe don't look the best from other people's eyes, and you know, that's something writers struggle with.
Mm-hmm.
But that's going to help with the kids who don't know how to express what they're seeing.
Feeling, yeah.
Amen.
Yeah.
That's
Like-
exactly what I'm thinking.
Like those traumatic experiences for you, there's kids going through that currently.
Oh
and,
yeah,
And so when they see this, they'll be, like you said, connect,
yeah.
and they'll feel with Max.
That's my aim. That's
Mhm.
my goal.
Yeah, and I definitely think if you could kind of focus on that, what Rigo said, that greater good will help you process that. Because, you know, I could hear it in your voice. You're not trying to hurt her, bring up
No.
anything. But this really did occur, and you could use this. Because I think, like, again, that's a great idea to help these kids that are having to go through this
With their parents.
with
yeah.
their parents, you know,
Yeah.
and that's tough, you know. That's a tough situation for a kid. Kids already love dogs. Max, or you know, I've seen a lot of the pictures. Max seems like a great dog. To be able to put it from his perspective, what's going on, and have that kid be able to process related to that dog, I think is beautiful.
Yeah.
And I think you write it, they will come. It will be published. You know what I mean? You got to do
I
it, man.
appreciate that, my friend.
No,
and
when-
I do want Kevin. You know, you follow Kevin.
Yes,
now,
I
brother,
follow Kevin.
Brother Kevin,
He's a great illustrator.
great illustrator. If I can get him on board when he has time to illustrate it. And my idea was to never really focus on the mom and dad in the book. They basically always see it from Max's perspective, and he's only a puppy then.
Mm-hmm.
So you only see these legs of these two adults going through things, and it's always Max.
I'm getting chills.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm glad you can
I can-
envision it. I really am.
Oh yeah, so I can connect, man, because like even my parents never got divorced, but you know, the close calls over and over and
Yeah.
over again. That's
Yeah.
traumatic,
It is for kids.
you know.
I didn't go through that. I was blessed. I had a great childhood. My mom and dad were together for 60 some years, and just an amazing childhood. But it's been around me.
Yeah, you
All
know.
my brothers except one. No, all my brothers. I got 3 older brothers. They've all had to deal with divorce. I've dealt with it twice now. I've seen what it's done to not only within my family, but close friends and their kids. And man, that's tough.
You know, and I could just see it already. And then now the life that Max lives with you, which is you know, you guys are adventurous. You like to go out. You guys, so what are some of the things you do with Max these days?
Oh, we go hiking, and when I have to travel for work, we go to California a lot, and we're out on the beach, and we're in the hills and the mountains. And this summer we went up above Reno for a job, and we went out to Mammoth Lakes, and we just tour. Max and I are on a world tour.
That's a pretty cool. But Max made it through.
Yeah,
You know,
he
So
got back with Dad, and
he got back with Dad.
and things. Max has a good life for a dog. He has a good life for anybody.
He has a good life, and then Dad got back to Dad.
Yeah, yep,
You're back to this guy that's, you know, I'm going to experience life and make the best of it.
absolutely. And it was perfect timing too. That funeral happened, and my switch happened. And within a month later, I got sent to California, and I've never been back home since. I've been back home to visit, but I've basically been a nomad ever since that, since June of 2014.
Oh, wow.
And that's been huge. I can't even tell you how much that means to my growth. Having gotten away from the home I'd always known my whole life, and just experiencing the world and just going all over the place.
You know, I don't know if you're familiar with the hero's journey.
Oh, yeah.
Joseph Campbell.
Absolutely.
And, you know, getting away from home, that's part of it.
It's huge.
Huge to get away from what you're familiar with.
Yep.
And go against, not against, but go away from, you know, what mommy and daddy had already established for you to go make a mark in your life and make that and establish that.
Absolutely.
And that's what you were
I
able
think
to
it's
do.
very important.
It's important. So yeah, then you also, through these trials and adventures, learn a lot about yourself.
Oh, a ton, because I have a lot of time to think. I have a lot of moments to take in. Sitting on a beach with Max at sunset, waiting for sunset. I've done that so many times out in California when I lived out there. Man, that's just huge. What that does for you, and what if you'll let it, if you're willing to. I always like to say, are you smart enough to know what you're not smart about? And are you? And I did. There's you could live to be 500 and you're not going to know everything.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I'm all open mind, want to read all I can. I want to experience all I can until I, pass out of this world.
What are some of the things you read?
I read philosophy. I read history. I like personal stories, real stories.
Real stories.
And I'm not dishing fiction at all. But, I love like Lord of the Rings and things that I've grown up with. But I find myself really liking people's stories.
Okay.
What they've gone through.
Perspective.
Yeah.
Perspective.
Yeah.
Anything that you would like to recommend to people?
I've just written about it recently. Viktor Frankl, who lived through the Holocaust.
Okay.
And famous psychiatrist. He's right up there with like Freud and Jung.
Mm-hmm.
And his book, The Meaning of Life, that's incredible.
So you would recommend somebody.
Yeah.
So somebody wanted to get on Van's wavelength. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
On your perspective, that would be a book that you would recommend.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I got to recommend a book that I just started, and so that's why I got my
What
phone up. If you like this, it's called "Here Is Real Magic" by Nate Staniforth, and incredible.
Text that to me.
I will.
Yeah.
I just started it last night. I got Audible, so I listen to my books now because I do a lot of driving, and he reads it. But I mean, I got chills. I don't know how many times last night.
Yeah,
it's about his story. He's a magician going out there looking for wonder again, looking for that thing that sparked in him when he was 9 to make him fall in love with magic. So he wanted to fall in love with it again. So he has this whole cool journey. So I think you'd appreciate that.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That sounds like a great book.
Oh, it's a great book. And it was pretty cool. I put it on Instagram last night and tagged him in it. And he actually responded. The author actually responded.
Nice.
And I got to talk to him a little bit last night. And I want to get him on
if
this podcast.
you have it on Instagram, I'll check that. I'll get it there.
Yeah, check out my Instagram.
Yeah.
And but if you like stories about books and about people's books about people's life, that would be a great one to check out. So let's get into your life a little bit deeper. We're going to go back to the attempt.
The attempt.
Can we get into that now?
Yeah.
I kind of wanted to save that for later in the show.
Right.
But there were some things that you went through that led you to a really dark place. That's the first marriage?
Yeah.
The first marriage. And you had set out that you were going to end your life.
Yeah. I was right there. My first marriage was falling apart. We got married too young. My ex and I get along. My first wife, we get along fine. She's the mother of my children. We're friends now.
Great.
To this day, we're good. I don't blame her at all. We grew into different people, but of course, I think there's always someone who realizes it first. Like I look at us today, we wouldn't be a good match today. We're good friends. We get along. We can laugh together and whatnot. And if I just met her today, I think we'd get along. We'd be friends, but it wouldn't be somebody I'd want to spend the rest of my life with.
Mm-hmm.
And that's fair. She just happened to come to that realization first. So we separate. She's pushing ahead with divorce. Things aren't working out at all. She doesn't seem to want to work things out. And I can tell she has other interests in, really, to be honest, other people.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just...
And that's tough. That's it.
That's the one. That just gets you... That's the dagger to the heart.
That's that's the words I was going to say right now. That's the one that hits the heart the worst. Yep. Somebody else. Like, it's so much insecurities going through your mind.
Oh, yeah.
What's wrong with me? What did I do? And so it brought you to a dark place.
Absolutely. And it wasn't just a moment, bills and bills and bills, and you're dealing with it every day. And every day you wake up, even if you've had a good dream and you're in a good place when you're asleep, I remember the minute I'd wake up in the morning, boom. She don't want to be with me anymore. I'm losing my wife. I'm losing the mother of my children. My whole life that I've created is just falling apart.
Mm-hmm.
And there again, like Viktor Frankl, living through the Holocaust, losing his whole family in other camps. What I was going through was nothing. Well, it's not nothing, but I didn't have that perspective back then. I didn't have the the tools that I do now to deal with these
Be able
things.
to process this.
Yeah, I was young. I was in my 30s. And
So what brought you to the point where, okay, I'm gonna take my life. I don't want to live anymore.
I had lost 40 plus pounds. I was wasting away. I was never happy.
Oh, because of this divorce and what
Yeah.
you're going through, you
Yeah.
lost all this weight?
Yeah.
You couldn't eat.
Couldn't eat. Had trouble sleeping.
Couldn't eat, couldn't sleep.
And I didn't think I was being a good dad to my kids. I had them a lot.
You felt like a failure.
Yeah, like a total failure. But just hurting too, just emotionally hurting every day.
It's tiring.
I'm tired of this.
Yeah.
I'm not a good dad right now. I wasn't mean to my kids or anything. I didn't take it out on them. They just saw me depressed all the time. That's not good for a kid.
No, it hurts them as well.
Yeah, and they remember that. We talk about that now. They're fine. We're great. My kids are everything to me. They're grown, but we're real close. But at that time, like I said, you don't have the tools. You don't have the mental tools, and you don't have the right perspective to deal with this properly. And so people around me knew it. I couldn't hide it. They
You
said,
lost all this weight. That's a
Yeah.
lot of weight to lose.
I looked like, my brother said, I looked like I was dying of cancer.
Like you actually had like a physical
Physical
ailment.
ailment.
So then you said, okay, at this time, this place, I'm going to end it.
I'm done. Yep.
You set a date.
Well, I just knew how to get it done. I got a prescription filled from my father, who had these sleeping pills from a thing he went through. He didn't even use them anymore. But I knew the prescription was still good, or he could get a refill. And so I went to my mom and dad's one day and went in the bathroom, went up in the medicine closet, got that nearly empty jar, or it was empty. Got it refilled because smaller town, everybody knew me. I'm getting it filled for my dad, no big deal, no questions. So I had that, and the only thing I really had to do is I wanted to write a letter to my kids and a letter to her, and I needed to get that done. And I said, I'm going to do this weekend because she has the kids, and if I go and take all these pills and just pass out of this world on a Friday night, no one's even going to look for me till Monday morning probably.
Gotcha.
So I'm good. I already had a place I knew I could drive into the woods and park, and probably no one would interrupt my going out of this world plan that I had.
So you got the pills, you got the
Yep.
location set, you got
Yep.
the weekend planned for it.
Yep.
You work through all this in your mind. So this is something you're going to do.
It's done.
It's done.
Yeah. To be honest, I felt relief. I felt finally.
There was a sense of relief.
Yeah. That's how crazy suicide can, or at least the thoughts of suicide can be.
Now, prior to your attempt, were there days where you wanted to do it then and there? Like, was it sporadic? Like, I want to take my life now.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. There's times you're driving down the road and say, I should just drive off and hit that tree. If I go 100 miles an hour and hit this tree around the next corner, then I know that might do it. But then you don't, because you're like, well, I don't want to end up in a hospital and not die and cause that's just compound. It's got to really, really be it. But yeah, absolutely.
So then now you have the time, the place, the date, the everything. It's Friday that you want to do it, or
Yeah.
a weekend at least.
Yeah, it's Friday.
It's a Friday.
Yeah.
So
I think I got the prescription on Wednesday, kept that in the glove box of my car, and I said, I'll just got to get to Friday evening because my kids were with me Thursday.
Wow, just get to Friday. So with this prescription's there, so you're already going through Wednesday and Thursday, committed to this thing.
Yeah. No, I hadn't changed my mind.
Haven't changed
I
your
wasn't
mind.
even doubting it. It was like, yeah, this is finally going to relieve this pain.
And there is a sense of relief
Yeah.
that this is going to end.
Yeah.
'Cause-
It wasn't happiness, but it was relief.
Okay. And so what happens Friday? You go to work.
I go to work, and the only thing I need to do, couldn't have done it the night before. I had my kids, I think, Wednesday and Thursday.
Okay.
Can't be sitting around writing suicide letters.
Yeah,
So-
with the kids there.
Yeah, I'll do it at work because my office is kind of in the back. And this is when my family, we had car dealerships. And so I was in the back in my office, and I'm like, no worries, I got this. I'll write those 2 letters and leave them in envelopes on the desk, and they'll get where they need to go after all this happens. I didn't want to take them with me because people finding me and pulling them. I didn't want that. I wanted to leave them there. I knew that my brothers would take care of that.
Mm-hmm.
So it was an easy enough task. Get through the day, leave the letters there, head down to my spot. I'm golden.
Mm-hmm.
But that wasn't to be.
Why wasn't it? How do you know?
Well,
What's the first thing that happened?
have you read that story?
You told it to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've read it, and you kind of explained.
Yeah. So I'm thinking, okay, no worries. I got to do this. When I first got to work, I went around and said hi to everybody at work. You know, the people that used to work for us we were real close. They were like family. So I went by and said good morning to everybody, but it was actually, I'm really saying goodbye to all of them.
This is your goodbyes.
Yeah. And I got through doing that, and then I came on in and sat down at my office and got the pad out, and I had some car orders laying around so that I could cover it up if I needed to. But I could be back in there for 2 or 3 hours. No one would ever come back. You know, I had inventory to do and different paperwork to do on a regular basis. So
Mm-hmm.
it's not like people are coming in and out of my office very often. So I'm back there and I'm writing. And then the first thing that happens is my brother Louis, I have 3 brothers, like I said. My brother Louis Jr. comes back and starts talking to me, asking me how I'm doing. They all know I'm going through this, obviously. They've seen it. It's gone on for months. So he's checking on me and he's talking to me and he's being the great brother that he is and worried about me and got to eat more. And just, you know, he stayed back there. I don't know how long. He stayed back there a while talking to me. I had just started too.
Just started the letter.
Yeah. So I had it. It was covered, and we're talking, and I'm like, "Yeah, I know. I'm gonna be all right."
Yeah, you're just telling him what he wants to hear.
Yeah. But then he's laughing, and then he asked me 1 or 2 things about work or whatever, and then he says, "Well, I think he got paged or something," so he left. I was like, "Okay, let me get back to this letter." You know, pull the pad back out, start writing again. I hadn't written probably 15 or 20 minutes, and I get a call from a good friend of mine, Terry Fleming, who's a minister at the time. She's in L.A. This is in Maryland. This is my home, was in Maryland. She calls me from L.A., and it's only maybe 10 o'clock back east, so it's 7 there, and that's kind of early for her.
Mm-hmm.
I know Terry, that's a little early for her. Yeah, we're friends, and she knew what I was going through, but we didn't talk regularly. We talked every couple weeks, maybe once a month.
So this phone call seems a little out of place.
Well, a little bit.
Okay.
Not crazy, but the timing was out of place. Like, what are you doing getting up? Why are you calling me first thing in the morning for you?
Mm-hmm.
And she woke up and says, "What's up with you?" She's real blunt.
Oh, what's up with you?
She's not, Terry doesn't play. She's real in your face when you need it, not in a rude way. She's just real. So she says, "What's up with you?" And I said, "Nothing. What's up with you? What are you calling me so early for? Isn't it like 7 a.m. there?" She goes, "I woke up and you were heavy on my heart."
Ooh.
And I'm like, "Really?" You know, and she goes, "Yes. Are you all right?" And I go, "Yeah, I'm fine." She goes, "Tell me the truth. Are you all right?" I mean, she's putting it on me like 3rd degree. And I said, "Well, I'm not great," because she knew the story. And she'd been ministering to me a little bit and talking to me and trying to get me up or pick back up. And I said, "Well, I'm still dealing with stuff, and I'm not a happy person, but I'm all right." She says.
She's not believing it.
She's not believing it.
She's not buying it.
She goes, "Seems kind of funny that you're just, I got a message about you. It was heavy on my heart." That's the term she used. But we talked, and I got her kind of off that.
You're a little persuasive,
track.
huh?
Yeah. And then she was saying, "Well, when I get back home," because she's from Maryland, to visit her mom, we'll get together and we'll have lunch and catch up. And I'm like, "That'll be great. Yeah, let's do it." And of course, I asked her about how things are going. She was working some charity things for kids out in L.A. at the time. So, okay, well, that took a while. So I got Terry off,
Mm-hmm. Back to the letter now.
And I probably got about 30, 40 minutes of writing in. But I will say this, I'm a slow writer. I want everything to always be so just right.
Mhm.
So it's not like I can knock out 2 pages in 10 minutes. That's not how Van writes. So I'm writing, and a little bit before lunch, here comes my oldest brother, Gordon. He comes rolling in. Now, this is a little unusual because he would come in when he needed things for work. And I love my brother, Gordon. He's great. But he's also, at least back then, more so than he is now, he was always a little bit of a hard ass. And he wouldn't get mad at me saying that. He knows he is. And, in fact, people used to kid him and call him grumpy sometimes. So I was like, I'm thinking he's just coming back to maybe ask about an order. No. He plops down in front of me, and he starts talking about the Redskins, and he starts talking about the gym. He's the one that got me started with my life dedication to working out. He got me my first gym membership when I was a month short of 12 years old. So he's been a huge influence to me.
So the brother that's a hard ass starts talking about the Redskins and some gym stuff. Okay.
And what's going on.
Shooting the breeze.
Yeah. And he's not the type to like get deep with you on, well, he is now, but at that time he wasn't really so much the person that's going to talk to you about your problems.
But in this way, he almost was probably, because this is how he communicates. This is him. He was being him with you, and he probably sensed that you needed something.
Yeah.
Okay.
So he didn't talk about me being down. He didn't talk about my weight loss. He didn't talk about my marriage. He's just shooting the, you know what? And he's just hanging out. And I'm thinking, what is he doing? He never does this, because he didn't very often. This is extremely rare for Gordon at this time in our lives, in our relationship. He just doesn't come back in my office and plop down for 40 plus minutes talking about all kind of just guy stuff. And of course he is, and I'm talking to him, but I can't write. He's right in front of me.
Gotcha.
So I was like, oh my gosh, what is going on? So it's funny. He got paged finally or whatever, and he left, but he stayed back there a while. And I'm thinking, all right, this is ridiculous. It's like lunchtime now. I got to get this stuff done, you know. I got important stuff to do here. I got suicide letters to write. Damn it. I don't have time for this silliness.
You're ready to end it.
So here I am laughing about suicide letters.
That's
hey, but you're alive, so let's laugh.
Yes, let's be happy. So he leaves, and I'm like, okay, I know what I'll do. I'll go down somewhere in town and have lunch, sit in a booth over in the corner somewhere. I'll write out, I'll at least get one letter done. I think I did start with the wife's letter. So I'm going to get her letter done at lunch. I'm going to focus. I'm going to knock this out. So I'm thinking, okay, I got this. Well, and guys, everything I tell you is 100% truth. You could ask the other players. They didn't realize it at the time. They didn't realize what they were doing or what they were interfering with. But this is 100% the way it happened. So here's my next interruption. The Reverend Ronald Simmons comes walking into my office. He is the father of one of my best friends, Sean Simmons. And I'd sold him a car a while back. He had brought his car down from Frederick, Maryland. And if you know Maryland, Frederick, Maryland is way up north. And where I am in St. Mary's County, Lexington Park, is about as far south as you can go in Maryland. It's like, and it's not a big state, but that's still, he drove like 2.5, 3 hours and around the Washington Beltway to bring his car to get worked on. But he trusted us, and he wanted to bring it back there. But the funny thing, I didn't know he was coming. He never told me he was coming. He just showed up that day. I mean, he did have an appointment, but I didn't know it. So he comes walking in my office, and he said, well, hey, Mr. Aldridge. And he's just a great guy. I said, Reverend Simmons, what are you doing? He goes, I came down here to have my car worked on and have lunch with you, young man.
Whoa.
Like, oh, man.
There goes the lunch plans.
There goes the lunch plans. And he knew what I was going through because of Sean. And I want to send a word out to Sean. Sean dealt with me during this depressed time. He lived in my basement at the time. Couldn't ask for a better friend. He put up with my gloominess for months and was always there for me. So just a quick shout out to him. But his dad, great guy. So we go to lunch. Well, there's my lunch. And of course, during lunch, he's asking me how I'm going, and I need to have faith, and God has a plan for me, and, you know, fight for your marriage, but you're not fighting in a good way. You're wasting away. You have to be strong. You have to be there for you. He told me everything that's absolutely correct.
Mm-hmm.
I knew that. I just wasn't living it. I wasn't doing it. So
it's just another interruption.
So I don't have to tell you, we had a long lunch, of course, because he was telling me all this stuff. So we finally get back to dealership. His car's ready. You know, he gives me a hug, and he's, you know, heading back to Frederick, Maryland.
Wow.
I'm like, oh my gosh, okay. So what's that? And that's number 4.
That's number 4.
So
yeah,
I've
2
had-
ministers and
I've
2
had
brothers.
2 ministers and 2 brothers. All right. So I get back to
I'm
writing.
sorry.
Go ahead.
Did,
No.
What's up, Rico?
did any of them at this point bring you down a notch?
Oh
So-
yeah, I was weakening,
You're
but
weakening.
I was at that point it was still going to happen.
Okay.
In fact,
After 4, still going.
I'm still going. Yeah,
Okay.
but I mean, of course, it's knocking you back a little
Yeah.
bit. You're like, man, what?
Each one's chipping away.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they're
okay.
they're getting that tree knocked over. So the next one that happens, I get the majority of her letter written. It's nearly done. And then I get a phone call from a good neighbor of mine and a pastor. I'd gone to his church the last few months.
Mm-hmm.
He'd started a new church. And he's a neighbor, good guy, Jim Weber. And so he calls me. I mean, that's his brother. Don Weber. Don called me, and he just felt the need to call me. Now, he's a neighbor and he's a friend, but he doesn't call me at work. We see each other when I go home.
You see when you see him.
Yeah, I see him when I see him. And if I make it to his church, that he's always, you know, he knows I'm going through stuff too. I mean, he knows, and he's been ministering to me a little bit and walking over in the evening, and we've talked a few times, but I'm not, he's got a lot going on. He's starting a church. He's working a day job. He's a busy guy. In the middle of the afternoon, he just felt the need to call me.
Wow.
Same as Terry.
Something's going on.
And he goes, hey, brother, I just was thinking of you, and I don't know, you just were kind of heavy on my mind, and I thought, just wanted to call and check on you. I hadn't talked to you in 2 or 3 weeks, and I don't think we had. We'd waved, we'd seen each other, but we hadn't really talked. So he gets me on the phone, and he talks to me. And I'm like, man, this is crazy. And, of course, I can't focus on writing when I'm trying to talk to him. So he talks to me, and we talk for half hour, 40 minutes, I don't know, a while. I'm thinking, man, this...
Now is it starting to click?
Yeah, it's starting to click.
Okay. It's like God doesn't want you to do this.
There's forces beyond my
Call it what you
perception
want.
and capability of understanding that is going on.
It's saying, no, we need you, Van.
Yeah. So I get through with Don. I did actually finish her letter, but I still got the whole letter for the kids to write. And to me, that's more important.
And you write slow.
And I write slow. And it's the middle of the afternoon. It's actually past the middle of the afternoon now. And so I'm still writing. I'm starting the kids' letter. I'm gonna get this done. Wow. Damn it, I'm determined. No one's stopping me from my goal of taking myself out of this world.
That's crazy.
Isn't that nuts?
That's crazy.
That's
That's
how
the hurt.
dark
That was the
people
pain. Yeah, the pain speaking.
one thing I got to say that this has given me that, and this happened years and years ago, but this gave me great sympathy and understanding and a connection to people who really are hurting like that.
You understand.
Before this, I was like, suicide, that's crazy. I'll never do suicide's nuts. You might go through something, but killing yourself, that's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
But getting that close and looking at it the way that at that time I was looking at it, it really gave me great understanding of how people get to that point.
Wow.
And what they suffer with. So in a way, it was a good thing. That was another change in my life that changed me.
So now you're on the kids' letter.
I'm on the kids' letter. I got one more guy that's going to come and interrupt me, and it's my last brother. He comes rolling in.
Brother number 3.
Brother number 3, Paul Joe.
So is this 3 ministers and 3 brothers?
Yeah.
Okay. This is just crazy, but
Yeah,
okay.
and one reason I never wanted to tell this story before my nephew made me promise to do
The nephew that passed away.
the nephew that passed away. It sounds too crazy. I'm like, man,
Who's going to believe it?
It really happened, but I'm not a preacher. I want to do good by people. I want to be of service to others, but that's not my journey in life. That's not my walk. I'm not a preacher. And okay, this is just from my perspective, this is God, because I am a Christian.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't go around talking about it. It's just, like I said, it's just not me.
Mm-hmm.
I love everybody. If you're a Buddhist, Zen philosophy, if in Hindu,
doesn't matter.
No problem. If you're a good person and we connect. I'm not going to judge you, and I'm not going to preach to you. It's
beautiful.
You walk your walk and I got to walk mine, but we can hang out together. So
the third final brother comes
in. Paul Joe. Paul Joe at this time in life, he's even different now. He's just, all my brothers are great. Paul Joe's great. He such a good family. I'm so blessed with them. But at that time, he was a little bit of Gordon and a little bit of Louis Jr. The first one that came in, Louis Jr., man, he's like a saint. Everybody loved Louis Jr., still do to this day. He could have run for mayor of our town.
Yeah.
If they had such a position, he would have won hands down.
He's that guy.
He's that guy. But it's because he's real, and he's just good to everybody. Does favors for everybody, reaches out to everybody. So you had him, then you had Gordon, who at the time was, more hardcore. And then you had Paul Joe, who was like a mix.
So you got the mixture. God saving this guy for last.
Yeah, he's, so he's going to be the one to say, now you gotta get real here. You're not doing good. And this is enough of this. So he's going to be that guy. But he's also going to be, we all love you. And we don't, you're hurting us.
The compassion with that toughness.
Yeah, he's got both going on. Okay.
Beautiful.
So he's giving me that, and he's saying, what are you doing this weekend now? Don't just hang out by yourself all weekend. I'm thinking, yeah, he would bring up what I'm doing this weekend.
Yeah.
And he said, you come down, hang out with me, or we'll go do something. You want to go for a drive? We'll go for a drive. You don't just sit at home now. He knew I didn't have the kids that weekend. He said, don't do that. I won't. He said, no, you come down or you call me. We'll go get a meal. I'm like, all right, Paul Joe, I'll call you. I lied to him.
Uh-huh.
That wasn't right. That was wrong. But he's giving me the spiel, and he's like you said, he's being the good cop, bad cop.
Mm-hmm.
And he sits in there with me and talks. And then when he's sitting there, he's pretty much finished up, and I knew he was going to go back out front to his office and do card stuff. That's when I got a call from my kids. And that was God's ace in the hole.
That was it.
That was swinging for the fences. All right, I'm bringing out the ringers. Here they are. He's not doing this today. This is not going to happen. So my kids get on the phone, and at that time there's obviously animosity between my ex and myself, because I'm wanting to keep the marriage together. She's not. She's pushing against it. She's being how she needs to be to make this end. And like I said, I have no.
She's doing what she has to do.
Yeah, I have no issues with her.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I don't blame her in any way, shape, or form for this place I got. There again, it's like we talked in the beginning. You have to be happy with yourself. You got to be right with yourself.
Yes.
She can't make me happy, and she can't stay in a marriage
and
she
you
doesn't
kind of
want
wanted her to, and you didn't even know it.
Yeah, didn't even realize these things at the time.
So, I got to wrap it up here in a minute. But so the kids call, and that was it?
The kids call. She never wanted them to come hang with me if it was her weekend, but she got called into work.
Oh, whatever.
If it was her weekend, she.
No, I'm just saying. So the kids are going to be with you.
Yeah, coincidence.
The coincidence of it. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, because she just worked real close to where she was living at the time, and the boys were old enough to watch the daughter. So she would just want them to stay at home until she got home from work.
Uh-huh.
Well, for some reason, she told them, you know what? It's fine. You can call your dad. He can come get you.
Oh, my goodness.
So they're on the phone. Dad, come get us. Mom's going to let us be with you. Come on, come get us. And then my daughter gets on. She goes, Dad, come get me. I'm hungry. Let's go do something. Let's go.
What? I got chills again.
So what am I going to do? I mean, I figured, I can end my life another day. I can't today.
It's not happening now.
And the funny
seventh,
thing,
this is the seventh incident.
seventh thing.
This is like that's like a lucky number, like God's number or something, right? 7. So,
and of course, that was the last one. The kids,
last one.
The things that are most important to me more than anything, my kids. And so that got me. That pulled me away. And just to wrap it up too with this, I never went back to that point. In fact, I think within a couple days, I threw those pills away, saying, "Okay, I can't do this. This cannot happen." And I threw them away and knew, okay, now I don't have that to rely on. And I had a lot of dark days after that, but I never got back to that point.
Wow. So it was like a climb from then.
Yeah. Then it's just getting better and getting your mind right and getting in a better place. And when I went through what I did with my second wife, which devastated me. I mean, that was really dark. But
it wasn't that dark. You didn't get to that place.
No, there were nights I went to bed and prayed for God to go ahead and take me out of this world if he wanted to. This world was just too cruel and it's too, but I never got to where I was going to do something.
Yeah, you were going to physically harm yourself.
Never. Didn't even think about it.
Wow. So yeah, that is an incredible story. Pretty
100% true.
And I could see how people would say it's hard to believe, but I know that, God or whatever you want to say, the universe operates that way. Yeah. And I'm happy you're here.
I'm happy I'm here.
I'm
happy I met you.
Exactly.
And I'm happy I met Rigo today.
Yeah. And I think that's part of it. And that's what it is, that you had something to do and you doing it. And like when I saw that video that you did with Jesse, I think, what was Jesse, episode like 6 or 4? I forget.
Jesse's great. Jesse's such a good guy and so talented. Unbelievable. I'm so lucky to have made that connection and that friendship.
Exactly. And so you had more to do. Had more to do. And there's a reason you're here. And, I'm thankful and I'm grateful that God put all those things in your way. And it took 7. That's crazy. Like, you were pretty determined.
I was determined.
God kept sending in his soldiers, or, like, hey, no, you're not going to do this, not going to do
marching
this.
Marching them in on me, or making them call. Yeah.
Yeah. That's the way the world works. So you get this little feeling like, wait a minute, I got to call that person, or I got to do that, or I should check in. And I'm glad every person listened to that feeling, that thing, that
urge they had,
inner knowing.
Yeah.
Even the brother that wanted to talk about football and
the gym and
gym, he did his part.
He did
his part. And
he absolutely did.
And I'm grateful you're here, and you got to put out that book.
I'm struggling with it, but I'm working on it.
Okay.
I'm working on it. I got to make it to where it just never hurts somebody else, if I can.
That's honorable.
Yeah.
That's honorable. And I think part of the struggle it births something incredible. That's like a thing before that incredible comes. So you
got to pay our dues, and we got to get over a couple obstacles and hurdles. Absolutely.
And so I thank you for sharing that story about the suicide attempt. I know that's something that you didn't share for a long time, right?
Right. For years
until your nephew that ended up passing away from cancer.
Yeah.
He said,
last year, my nephew, PJ.
You shared it with him, and he said,
he told me that he made me promise not to just hold on to that and just tell very close friends or family. I had to make a promise to him to put it out there.
Because he knew how impactful it would be.
Yeah. That's awesome. And it's gotten, I wrote it up and put it on my public page last year after that, and I think it's up to 7,000 or 8,000 likes.
Yeah, incredible story.
It's made, and a lot of people have tons of comments, and I've answered every single person, and a lot of people even DM me and said that really meant a lot, and I don't know how much they needed to hear that right then.
They needed to hear that there's something bigger that's looking out for them, because if it's looking out for you, it's looking out for them, for me, for Rigo, for everybody.
If you'll just accept that there's, like your book, there's magic in this world.
Yeah, there is.
If you want to use any other term, you can.
Me and Rigo were just having that conversation the other day at lunch. There's this magic in the world, and it operates, and it's there.
It does. You just have to be open to it, and that's that thing about taking in those moments and really living your life and embracing those moments and embracing your life, and not just running through it at 100 miles an hour, because all of a sudden you'll turn around and 2 decades will be gone.
just like that.
And you'll think, what have I been doing?
And there'll be a blur. Well, anyway, yeah, so I got to wrap it up. I
Yeah.
appreciate you coming in, man. I've been wanting to do this for a while, and
I
finally.
appreciate you having me, John.
Oh,
I
thank
really
you.
do.
Thank
It
you for
means a lot to me.
Thank you for being open, and thank you for the Littlewood Co-op using this studio, and we got a place to do this now. So thank you guys for listening. If you can, leave a rating or review on iTunes, and we're uploading these on Facebook now, so you can check out the video. And thank you to Rigo that's been doing the video and stepping up on some things. And anyway, thank you guys for listening. Until next time, goodbye.